turn that on. I'd like to call and convene the public hearing meeting for 2021-2022 general fund budget, and I would like a motion to begin this hearing.
I make the motion that we begin the budget hearing for 2020.
And there's a second?
Second.
And all those in favor? Okay. And that's 7, and no one opposed. Thank you. Now, public participation is, well, no, we've got budget overview first. So, Marty, Ms. Rawls, we'll turn that over to you.
Dr. Melton, I want to provide some information to you on the general fund. This would be the second reading. This presentation will include 2 recommendations. I'm going to present everything to you now. It's my understanding we'll just present one time tonight. So the 2 recommendations, the first being the approval of the budget and adoption, and the second being approving the operating and debt service millage. Do we have the clicker? Okay. This is a slide that you have seen before. It has been updated. The House Ways and Means Committee amended the House budget, and it was later approved by the House with the $1,000 increase for teachers and the base student cost at the $25.16. So these are 2 changes from what it has been previously. Of course, it does include the funded step increase for teachers, 1% increase on employer health insurance premium cost, and an increase for bus driver salary. Some district level decisions that were included in this budget. This is based on the 135th day count, which was 16,444, up from the 45th day count last year of 16,375. The budget would include a step increase for all staff, not only teachers. This does include a local supplement, national board certification for teachers of $5,000, and some salary schedule revisions that we had talked about, revising all the salary schedules, adding some more years into them. So the projected revenues for the general fund budget for 2021-2022 are $201,694,166. 37% of that is from local funding and about 63% from state funding. This would include all of the tax revenue, the other local revenues that we have, plus our EFA calculations, our homestead exemptions, PIBA credit, and a few other resources, and the teacher salary supplement from the state. General fund expenditures equal the same as the revenue, $201,694,166, with 88% being from salary and fringe and 12% being everything else. So revenue items in this budget, this budget was based on the $2,508 because at the time I built that budget, that was a good average between the 2. We do know that the base student cost will be $2,516. We talked about it was based on the 135th day count of 16,444 students. I have a very good feeling that that number will be higher on the 45th day of 2021-22 school year. This is based on a no millage operating millage increase. Our operating millage is set at 246.10 mils, and that will continue into next year if this budget is approved. The millage is based on an assessed value, which has increased. That's increased 4.5% over the last year. And the increases in the Tier 1, 2, and 3 for the homestead exemptions is $389,485. Some expenditure items included in this budget would be the step increase for all eligible staff. Teachers will be funded by the state. $1,000 salary increase for teachers on the state minimum salary scale. That is more. That will end up being a little bit more than $1,000 on the district salary scale, but $1,000 would be on the state minimum salary schedule. A 1% increase in cost for employer cost of retirement for the South Carolina retirement system. This would also include moving social workers to the master's level schedule of the teacher's salary schedule for their salaries. In fact, I think all of our licensed social workers require a master's degree. This rewards them for the education that they have achieved. This budget also does include staff meeting requirements according to board policy IIB and the administrative rule IIB-R. So this does make it to where the staff ratios in the different categories are in line with the state required ratios. The social workers will bring us closer to the 1 to 250 student ratio that we are striving for. This does also include a couple of new social workers. So social workers is a primary focus for us this year, as is the need for our students in this SEL. Like I mentioned, it includes the $5,000 local supplement for National Board Certified Teachers. The expenditures include separating the 24th through 26th step on the district's teacher salary schedule. So those will be individual steps, not a lumped range. And it also adds year 27. It adds the 20th year to the support administrative salary schedule. So that instead of being 19 plus, it will be 20 plus. It adds for an increase in our SROs based on contracts that we have with Lexington County, and we are still waiting on Richland counties. It provides for budget for Piney Woods in the utilities and maintenance for next school year, their first year of operation. And it includes an increase for maintenance employees going from 7.5 hours a day to 8 hours per day, which was a minimal cost increase for the benefit for the district to have that. All right, so I want to go over a general fund balance recap. So our total fund balance as of June 30th, 2020 was $46,518,549. The board assigned $3 million for employee appreciation bonus, and they also assigned $2 million for the Piney Woods setup. To date, the employee bonus cost $2,843,267, and the amount spent on Piney Woods is $695,285, leaving a subtotal of $42,979,997. We discussed last time there would be an estimated $2 million increase to fund balance from situations where we had revenues over expenditures for this year. So projected fund balance of June 30, 2021 would be $44,979,997. Part of the request for approving the budget would include leaving the remaining $1,304,715 that was not spent on the setup for Piney Woods available and assigned to them, because there are still some expenditures that they're going through, media center setup, a lot of other things that are last minute items that we don't buy ahead. So we're requesting that $1 million that is remaining out of the $2 million be continued to be assigned for Piney Woods. That would leave an estimated $43,675,282 as the balance if we left that assignment in there. I want to remind you that according to the board policy, the fund balance, the unassigned fund balance, should be between 15 and 18%, and we are well within those limits. As I presented, this is a balanced budget. The revenues equal the expenditures. We talked about with the uncertainty of where the General Assembly budget is, and with the uncertainty of where enrollment would be next year, that we look at a mid-year review or amendment. There is planned to be an estimate update on revenues by the Board of Economic Advisors in September, so I think that there will be several changes to the budget at the General Assembly level, and so therefore we are requesting that the board work with us and allow us to bring back to you some more information once we have that, probably around the November-December timeframe, when we also know what the fund balance actually will be for the end of this financial year. Some additional things that we don't know, because they are still very different between the Senate and the House version, is what the employer health cost increases will be. So what we are projecting is to load the budgets at a lesser level than we would have for the needs to be met for the whole year. And when we do that, it will allow us to get to November, and in November, we can project out for the balance of the school year. We talked about operating millage very briefly. You can see that there is a calculation for the legislative mandated cap. Our cap millage increase this year would have been 4.86 mils. However, this budget does not recommend the millage increase. It would recommend leaving the mills at the 246.10 mils level. This was our budget calendar, and we are winding down to the end of it, and the General Assembly will go to conference committee next week and send the budget to the governor, and then come back on the 29th to handle any vetoes from the governor's office. So the first recommendation would be approval of the second reading for adoption of the 2021-2022 budget as presented, and continuing the remaining fund balance assignment for Piney Woods of the $1,304,715. And the second recommendation would be to set the operating millage at 246.10 mils and the debt service millage at the calculated rate to meet the debt service obligations not to exceed the current rate. Approximately 73 mils is what it will calculate to be when we get all the data in place as far as the values. And that would be the presentation. Again, 2 recommendations when that time comes.
Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Ross. And we have, let's see if there are any questions before I do the public participation on her presentation.
I'm sorry. Can I ask now?
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, the Pineywood setup, I don't really remember that, so I was just wondering when that was done. It might have been prior to this academic year.
Ms. Hammond, how would you like for us to respond? Typically, the board asks questions in the public meeting later. This public
Oh,
participation
you
is
want to
for
just
this
let that be, and I'm good with whichever way you want to do it.
We will certainly comply with your expectations, but Ms. Rawls was prepared to answer questions when we get to the board meeting part where the board...
Where we vote on it.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Was that good for you, Miss? Thank you, Miss Huddle. I appreciate that. And then let's hear from our public, and our first for the public hearing sign-up is Alan Wright. I will read this. I guess this also applies to, I don't know if this applies to the same reading I do when it's public participation for a regular meeting, but I will read it. The board welcomes and encourages public participation. We respectfully ask that you adhere to the procedures and the decorum provided in Board Policy BEDH, public participation at meetings. Your comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Questions asked during public participation we handle in accordance with Board Policy BEDH. And I would just like to add that I certainly want to say for this board, we in no way ever will discriminate against any one person. The 3 minutes, I've asked Dr. Harris to help me out with to continue the buzzer, and if it does go over, we'll just, I wanted to warn you, we would just cut the mic, because we've had criticisms of whether we let some people talk longer than they should, and I want to certainly be fair. So I feel like that's my fairest way to be just to everyone and treat you equally when you speak. Mr. Allen Wright, or is it Mr. Addy?
She wanted to talk about ESSER funds, not the budget, so.
Oh, okay, so then I have Kim Murphy.
Good evening. I was hopeful to be able to review the budget, but there was limited information posted on the website for the public to review, and I don't know, again, if the board sees what the public gets to see. But when I opened it up yesterday, there was no revenue available. The assessed value of the district, which is used to calculate the millage rate, was not available, nor was the student enrollment that the budget is based on. And I would ask that you hold off on approving the millage for either debt service or for operating until the requirement of the auditor for Lexington County in mid-September. That way you've got a little bit of time to review what is going on and possibly get some better revenue numbers. Obviously, the millage rate is what we have to pay, and we'd like to pay less if we can. So, and I'm sure you'd like to charge us less if it works out that way. And the other thing, it was very discouraging that there was not enough room for people who wanted to attend this meeting, a public hearing, to be able to sit inside the building. Fortunately, I was able to, last minute, was able to swap a seat. I've got a bad back, so I really need to sit down. If I had to sit out there, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So, in the future, if whoever makes the schedule for the meetings, if there is a public hearing, to place it at a place that's conducive for the public. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Murphy. So that ends our participation for the public hearing meeting. So